on today. Zax and I are back, and this is going to be kind of a regular time slot from here on forward. This will be Kage and Zaxtor's gaming roundup until further notice.
How's it going? This is Zaxtor99.
Okay, we got a problem. Okay, hold on. Technical difficulties, folks. All right. Give us just a second here to lock that down. Okay, Zach, I think you've got an echo over there. Wait, no, wait. I've got it. It's on my end.
Okay.
And there we go. Sorry about that, gang. I had a bit of a problem running around in my machine here. Right. So, where are we at this time? A couple things of note. There's I had a couple people ask me why it was indie games in private messages, why we were doing indie games and not AAA pieces. The short answer to that is this: I don't actually have a computer that can currently run the nicer modern AAA titles, or if it does, it doesn't do it very well. I've got to work out a new machine here somehow or another. There's an Amazon wish list link down on the low bar if you want to try that. Same thing with the microphone volume, or the microphone quality, nothing I can do about that either right now. You'll find that in there too. Let's see, what else we got? Oh, we had a critique actually on the last video that I felt probably should get addressed, and that we took a little bit too long, I think, and maybe what weren't the most responsible people ever, or at least not the most cognizant people ever, to in leaving Mr. Romin's contact information up there on the screen. And, hey, okay, these things, they do happen every once in a while. It's not like he didn't dox himself to begin with, and I know I certainly didn't intend to. He's the one that put his personal information out there when he filed a lawsuit, and that lawsuit took me less than a minute to find, just on a regular Google search. So, yeah, kind of a thing. We'll do our level best not to minimize that kind of thing in future. Unfortunately, as far as the damage that's already been done, it's done. There's absolutely zero I can do about that. All right, Zax, anything you got over there?
Well, just pretty much listening in and waiting for hopefully some people to come join the live stream. Looks like we have one person watching. I'm not.
Somebody's in there.
No. So we were going to discuss a couple of the games that we ran across, on Steam today. A couple of the newer indie games, and it's funny you mentioned that, somebody had asked you why indie games, why not AAA games, and I have another, particularly very good reason, especially, based on my channel and stuff like that. Every time that I try to cover, whether it be a Let's Play, whether it be a live stream or whatever, any kind of, AAA game, especially if it's new and hot. I mean, my channel, because it's so small, and I'm sure yours is going to be the same way, Kage. It's so small compared to everybody else that's going to be covering these popular AAA games that we're going to be buried 400, 500, 600,000 pages deep, if somebody was to do a search. So, not only that, I mean, a lot of these indie games, I think, need more recognition. While 5 million people are out there playing Grand Theft Auto 5 and, Call of Duty and Black Ops, or Battlefield 4 or Fallout 4 or whatever, there's going to be thousands upon thousands upon thousands of YouTubers bigger than us playing those games. While meanwhile, there's great indie gems that very few, if anybody, is even playing. And I think it's only fitting that guys like Kage and I should be, shining the light on these indie games and letting you guys see firsthand whether the game is good or whether it's a waste of your money.
There's always that too. I'd like to do the occasional AAA game, even if we stick it next to, even if we do wind up sticking it next to an indie game. I wouldn't
Sure.
want to do two AAA games at a time. That would be kind of silly.
Right.
Or even three. Anyway, we have a fun little show for you tonight. We will be taking your questions after the initial reviews. We have three of them up, and all three of which, of course, are listed in the description below, as well as links to which you can get them if you feel like you want them. Escape, Close Call, Princess.Loot.Pixel.Again, and the last one here is called Borstal. Those are the ones we have planned. If we want to pick on us about some other, then please, by all means, drop into the chat. All three developers have been sent messages. If they want to drop in at any time, they are certain, and ask us questions about game and about the way we perceive the game and what maybe they can do to change it. We're going to tell them anyway, to make things a little better. And hey, great. They want to do that, then they're certainly welcome to do that. If they want to call us a couple of assholes, they're welcome to do that too. They are entitled to their opinion. And I personally don't care. Their opinions are just fine by me. On the flip side, since they did put these things out in public view, and they are out there trying to be commercial about this, they are in fact subject to critique, and that is pretty much what they're going to get tonight. Any thoughts on that there, Zax?
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the things that I get a lot, Kage, is it's, I'm kind of glad you mentioned that, is, a lot of people, especially on these indie games that we see on Steam, they're early access, which means that they're in alpha or beta state, and, the developers have no intention of people playing the game thinking they're a final product. And a lot of these reviews where I review a game that's in early access, people will say, maybe I'll be critical about it, or, hit on the points where it failed, or score the game. Maybe an early access survival game, for example, comes out and I scored it at 25% and call it a fail. Well, when I do that, a lot of times what I try to do is point out, what they can do better, what's wrong with the game, and that kind of thing for the developer to take note of, and hopefully, take heart to and try to fix things to make the game better. But a lot of people will comment on these early access indie games and say, hey, man, you can't review that. It's in early access. It's in beta. You're a jackass for reviewing an early access game. And to that, I respond, if these developers want to charge me money, if they want to charge you money for this early access game, then I think it's fair to review the game.
And that's kind of my thought too. If it's out there in the public eye, and you put yourself out there, you are subject to critique, and that includes the two of us. I will be more than happy to accept critique. In fact, I've already done so, just a little bit earlier.
Right.
And if you guys have got some sort of complaint or gripe or whatever, knock yourselves out. Please let us know. We'd like to be able to improve the content here too. So just understand, folks, that if we bash a game, we really don't mean this as a personal attack against whoever. This is kind of the we give you the good news or the bad news, and you can do with that what you will.
Correct.
And if you choose to think that we're assholes for doing it and that we're just out to get you, well, we're not big enough to hurt you really at this point. Maybe that changes. Maybe that wasn't. Maybe it won't. We're not exactly PewDiePie here, or Jim Sterling, or any one of a few others. We're sure as hell not Angry Joe. So, yeah, I'm not gonna launch Aliens Colonial Marines and say, Sega, you done fucked up. Fucked it up. I'm not gonna start screaming that at the top of my lungs. That's for Angry Joe to do. That's his shtick. Me, for us, we're gonna do kind of the Siskel and Ebert thing.
No kidding. And another thing too is, I mean, while we're kind of little guys here and stuff like that, The good thing is, hopefully, no indie developers come at us and want to sue us or anything like that, because hopefully they realize that we are small enough to where we're not worth suing, because of our reviews or critique of certain, game.
But I don't know about you, but I'm broke. If I had the kind of money it would take to actually fight a lot to do the whole lawsuit thing, I'd have a better computer already.
Yeah, no kidding.
An old three-year-old Toshiba laptop I'm trying to do this on. It's scary.
Yeah, laptops don't have quite the power or oomph as a desktop anyway, but yeah, hopefully we can get you a new computer at some point, or see the day when you get a new computer there, Kage.
That would be great. I'd love that. I'll try and build it on a Monday so that so I've got all the kinks worked out by Friday. That'll be good.
Well, the bad thing about building your computer is on Monday, even if you buy a brand new $2,000 computer on Monday, by Friday it'll probably be obsolete. So maybe you want to shoot for like the middle of the ground, like Wednesday.
Well, once I've got the parts, That's all there is to it. It's going to be obsolete by Friday regardless.
Mm-hmm.
It all becomes a question of when do I actually put the obsolete thing back together, or together in the first place, whichever. So anyway, how about we get this show underway? We're gonna do. How about you get us started with our first game? That'll be Escape Close Call, if I remember correctly.
Yep, Escape Close Call. Just did the review on it yesterday. Now this one, let me go ahead and
let's get the store page up here real quick.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna put the store page up there, and Escape Close Call, because this is a game like a that I do on my channel, and when I review these games, I it'd help if I spelled it right instead of close call. I look at the new releases and I try to put out a review for games that interest me. Obviously, it's not going to do me any good to review a video game that I have no interest in personally. So a lot of these indie games have to pique my interest before I'll buy the game to review it. And now with the ability to refund any game that, we can simply put on Steam, hey, it wasn't fun, and get a refund. I love that, fallback zone, that I always know that I'm safe, so that if I buy a game, that I don't like for whatever reason, that doesn't run right, that's boring, it doesn't really matter. Maybe I don't like it because I'm a red card instead of a green card. It doesn't really matter. I can simply get a refund on the game for any reason, as long as I don't play it over 2 hours. So I have that safety cushion with any of these games. So I came across this game yesterday, Escape Close Call. I thought it looked fun as hell in the preview video. I'm like, you know what? The game is less than $5. I'm going to go ahead and try it. It had no reviews up when I bought it. And I saw it within an hour after it launched. And I figured there would be people playing this game, because to me, it looks fun as hell in this video. And I am shocked that more people have not bought into this game yet, especially at the price point it's at. But anyway, I reviewed it, even did a re-review on it once I realized that you could actually hit left and right trigger at the same time to go into a drift. And so I did a re-review on it and scored the game at a whopping 96%. I've reviewed almost 200 games now. This is, I think it's in the top 3 or 4 games that I've reviewed in the past 2 years. So an amazing little game, in my opinion. I think it delivers the value. I think it delivers a lot of fun. And I can't say enough about the developer behind Escape Close Call. This guy has shown he's willing to immediately go on a review, on suggestions, make changes to his game, make sure that, for example, when the first time I played it, it didn't have an exit button on the home screen. That guy, as soon as my review went up on my YouTube channel, I'd say within an hour, he updated the game and put an exit button. I know Kage played the game as well and had some issues with being able to play with a thumbstick. And the developer acted pretty quickly to those, did he not, Kage?
Well, he actually acted on that before I'd even had a chance to complain about it. So
that's nice.
It was actually something that was currently running around in the Steam and the discussions that it got updated. Someone had made a couple of remarks about it. So that's kind of where we're at with that.
Absolutely. And so, I think Kage has a link down to this game down below. If you guys are interested in a fun game that delivers, always keep in mind that you have that refundability. If you play it for 5 minutes and you hate it, simply refund it. Steam is getting refunds out there pretty quick, a lot quicker than they did, when they first launched the refund system. last summer.
Probably because it got abused. People started using it. I don't think they were expecting the response they got on that. Because I'm telling you, I turned in another game a while ago, in October of last year, and it took them the better part of a week to actually finalize it. But
so right here that I'll go ahead and launch with VLC Player. Hopefully it'll pop up here on you. Yeah, it looks like it's popping up. So give me just
you might want to. Yeah, there you go.
Pop it in there. And here, this is just kind of some of the options that you have for your car. You know, your upgrades. You have to buy gas. You really have to upgrade your gas. Is one of the most crucial things that you need to upgrade. And you have to score points to do that. But upgrading your gas tank so that you last longer, as you see, your gas is right down here. It shows you how much gas you have. And you know, it's really simple game. You have turn left, turn right. You know, with either your A and D keys on your keyboard, or you can use a controller, and it should be your left and right trigger buttons to turn left and right. And so if you do both at the same time, you go into a drift. And I think the game's just so simple that it's brilliant, and it's a lot of fun to try to score points by living dangerously. The more dangerous you live in this game, basically the more points you're going to score, and you crash and it's all over. So there's a lot of power-ups to get. There's different parts of the map to explore. A lot of different cars that you can get to spend your money on. And I just think the game has a ton of replayability. And that's one of the reasons this game scored so high with me, where my scoring is based mostly on how much fun is the game and, you know, the overall value you're getting for your money. So I don't think that you enjoy the game quite as much as me, Kage, but you still thought it was a good deal for the money, did you not? I mean, it's a game that you plan to keep.
You know, I actually thought it was a worthy game myself. This kind of a game is really not usually my bag. I'm more into RPGs and other similar things, and that's not something that's necessarily a secret. But yeah, this was, for what it was, this is actually kind of fun. It's, you know, small and simple, and a really fun way to assassinate the clock when all you have is a couple of minutes to, you know, just kind of blow off and do nothing with. There were a couple of bugs that I saw up front. First off, there was no thumbstick control, as you mentioned. Another one was that it was every time it was started, it spent a little while trying to reinstall the redistributables, and that was kind of irksome as far as I was concerned. It didn't actually wind up being that way on a permanent basis. It actually got corrected after a little bit. Mm-hmm. Like I said, before I could really get a chance to really bust its chops. The other thing is, if you wanted to do a super skid, all you had to do was haul the stick completely over, and it would do this automatically. The real problem I have, the one real remaining problem, is there's not really much of tooltips or kind of documentation to explain what some of these things are. He uses he uses a terminology that is not necessarily familiar to the people that are playing, especially people that don't play these games. And you know, he's asking me to do a super skid, but it took me 7 or 8 runs to figure out what it was, and I did that completely by accident. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those games that I think is going to get better as you go along. And I mean, it doesn't hold your hand at all. It's certainly
that it will not. And you can, my average run for a while was about 10 seconds. You guys are going to get a chance to watch. You guys are going to get a chance to watch me suck at it here in a few minutes. We actually, both of us, took our own video footage of this thing. I would still give it a general thumbs up on my usual 1 to 10 scale. It would probably get about a 9.5. It's not. There are some things, if you've got carpal tunnel syndrome, you might want to think twice, especially if you're going to try and use the left and right bumper buttons to turn, because it's not particularly intuitive that way. However, with the addition of the thumbstick, that made it a lot easier, and you actually have some other options if you want to. I know I have very little feeling towards the outside of my left hand, and it turned into quite painful the first couple of times I tried it, trying to use those bumper buttons. The other thing
Right.
is when you rebind the keys, some of them aren't actually supported. For example, the left trigger is supported, but not the right trigger on an Xbox 360 controller. I'm not sure why that is. It should just work, but it seems like the controller functionality isn't quite set up right yet, and that's kind of a thing.
Yeah, I think that's something that's going to get better. I mean, I honestly kind of wonder why the developer didn't put this in an early access, because he has a lot of different plans and upgrades, such as, even upgrading the graphics in this game in the months to come, adding more content, adding more game modes and stuff like that. I don't know if multiplayer is planned. I don't believe it is, but he has a ton of content planned for this game, and it's really as much content and upgrades and stuff as the developer has planned for this game. I'm kind of surprised it's not in an early access state, but I do think this game is going to be a game that only continues to get better. One thing I want to say about this, I mean, while you're talking about the controls and stuff like that, I think this is a game that, a lot of older people, like my dad, for example, and things like that, a lot of these older people that maybe like some video games, they like the idea of video games, but they try to get into one of these newer, like Call of Duty games or even driving games, like, all the big driving games out there, Dirt and stuff like that, that come out. They really feel overwhelmed because there's so many different controls in a lot of these AAA games nowadays, whether it be Need for Speed or whatever. And this is a game that really only has 2 buttons, so even somebody that, might feel overwhelmed by all the different controls for a more complex AAA game, might be able to feel more comfortable with something like this, where there's really only turn left, turn right, or push them both at the same time to go into a drift. Something that I think even an older person or a person that's not a video game nerd, could have a lot of fun with.
Well, I've been gaming most of my life, and I still had some issues with the control surfaces, but that's probably because they were in fact that simple. I'm used to buttons everywhere.
Right.
Especially, and then some things you kind of have to work around, really, but
yeah, it really takes a while too. One of the things I was doing, for this game is there is a big learning curve. I mean, it's a game it's easy to learn how to play, but really difficult to master it and do well at it.
Somebody said Confucius say same thing about Go. All right, time to switch over. You all can watch.
Yeah, because you have some footage of this game that you played, right, Kage?
I most certainly do. Give me just a moment here, and I will start that. Where did I do it? Here it is. Now, in the first part of this, I did a little. See, and they say that it recommends you use headphones. I actually would agree with that, if only because he actually did do some things that a lot of your cues, your input cues in the game are actually based on the sound. So if you're one of those people that likes to play with sound off, you're going to have problems. You're going to have problems with the game. Telling which direction the police car is coming from, it can turn into a hassle. Okay, I did actually check, and this is kind of where the controls are, and this is all the help they actually get you. Is up here on this screen. I did not use the standoff function. I probably could have, but you're moving at pretty much a constant rate the entire time, and I'm not sure what the standoff is. It's just there.
Right.
So no, I didn't even try everything, and I don't think it would have made a whole lot of difference in terms of the issues that I had in particular. Okay, and there's the first game starting. We're checking to see what those things are. Yeah, I could at this point I'd been playing for a couple of minutes, so I had a fair idea of what the hell was actually going on.
Mm-hmm.
That ultimate skid, like I said, it took me forever, and I'm still not sure what I did. I spend the next couple. I'm actually going to spend the next couple of playthroughs stuck in it. Was it 9 points for that playthrough? And that's after I'd already been about 20, 30 minutes at this point. Over and just go back the way it was. It took me forever to find a damn zombie. Or running into things and just leaving rubber. You know what? If I left as much rubber on real roads as I did in this game, I don't think I'd have tires left after the first 30 seconds.
That's part of the game. The fun of the game there, Kage, is to leave as much rubber on the roads as you can in this game. That's why it's a video game. But yeah, I mean, one thing I learned real quick is that's one of the things I did at the game as well. Is I started off, I was like, where's the zombies run over? I mean, because it talks about it. But I started learning that as the police cars wreck, and as you cause the police cars to wreck, trying to get to you,
that's when they spawn the zombie. I didn't find that out till later either.
Right. It definitely doesn't show you anything in here in a pretty harsh existence with like 8 cop cars after you right off the bat.
Yeah. No, that turned into a train wreck. It took me 6 or 8 playthroughs to find a zombie to run over to get to level 2.
I think that would be come to think of it, with you talking about this, I think that would be a great idea for the developer of this game, would be to, have a training mode or have some kind of a training series where maybe the first screen, all you're doing is trying to, race through a hoop or ski,
do a drift in a certain
circular area zone.
Because I don't think I was even in that one 5 seconds.
And you didn't get that many points. But, and it's kind of surprising. Sometimes it seems like you wreck 15 cop cars and you look at your score and you're only 15 points. And you're like, huh? How did that happen?
6.7 seconds. That was good. There's another one coming up here where I wound up completely over a fence. I wrecked. Wow. I got completely wrecked. That's hashtag REKT wrecked. There I've been pushing the trailer.
REKT. In all capitals, of course.
Yeah. And I wound up over the top of the fence nearby. And it was just it was a complete train. Oh, nope, that's not it. This isn't it. One of these playthroughs, I just wound up way over the top. It was just hilarious. And then I went back for the help to check it. What am I doing? What am I doing wrong?
Well, the thing I got to ask you here is, Kage, is honestly, not just being biased based on my review or whatever, which I know I had told you that I really liked the game before you went and got the game. How much fun did you have playing Escape Close Call?
You know what? It was really good to us. Like I said, it's really good if you need to assassinate the clock little bits at a time. You're waiting for your cookies to finish, and you don't want to lose a bunch of progress if you just kind of drop everything and run for the other end of the house. Mm-hmm. But it's not something that I would like. It's a good game. It's a solid game. It's not something that I would necessarily play just to be playing it.
Right. So if you're on a Saturday afternoon and you want to kill the whole afternoon, you're not going to jump into this game.
This is not the game I'd go looking for. But if I'm waiting, if I've got 10 minutes or so that I want to kill, this is an excellent little time waster. Mm-hmm. And again, this is coming from somebody that really doesn't like this particular type of game. I never got into the Grand Theft Auto series. My wife absolutely adores those games, and I have no idea why.
Yeah, you had mentioned that your wife had said she saw you playing this and she thought you were playing Grand Theft Auto.
She said it looked like Grand Theft Auto. And it's like, it kind of plays like it too. And that's not actually a bad thing. It's actually very reminiscent of GTA, and it's been a while since we've had something that actually did that. There was my ultimate skid.
There you go. Yep. That was a cool skid too.
And it threw me clear across the other side of the block. I almost made the road that time.
Wow.
There's a couple things that I think they could do, that the developer here could do, and I'm pretty sure they're not paying attention now. The training mode, definitely a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't even have to be much, just something to kind of familiarize the familiarize the participant, the player, what with what you mean and how you would do some of these things?
I think a good way to do it would be, there's a lot of things that he has to earn points in the game,
Mm-hmm.
and the gas and the turret and all the different things you can buy. I think a good way to do the tutorial would be to have 8 different things that you do. Like start off with you trying to race from one side to the other, and then the second thing, try to race and do a drift rather, inside of a circular area. And then the third one, have one cop car that you've got to evade and get to the other side. Whatever. Fourth one, maybe run over a zombie, just with one opponent or one zombie or one thing to focus on, and get through and just kind of get a little bit of a feel for the game. And each time you do that, here's here's 250 points, here's 500 points, here's 750 points that you can use on some of the upgrades.
And when you get into the game proper, you're not stuck playing at 30 just a little less than 30 seconds at a time.
Right.
I would probably increase the amount of time before the gas tank completely depletes by about another 2.2 seconds as well. Give it an even 30 seconds before without any kind of gas tank modification.
Right.
Because, well, I'm just kind of like that.
Yeah. It does make you pretty much have to. The first thing you're going to be wanting to do when you play this game is upgrade that gas tank. You're going to be like, man, I need to last longer, because it really sucks when you're playing this game and you feel like you're doing really well. Maybe you scored a lot of points, like happened to me once, and then you run out of gas, and you're like, even crash, and you're like, man, I was scoring a ton of points, and then you run out of gas, and you're like, what?
It's kind of hard to build score in a single run if your gas tank's not up to snuff.
Mm-hmm.
Good point. But yeah, you kind of get where we're going with that. And the other thing that I really wanted to suggest to our friend here is the goals for each section. Kind of leave them up a little bit longer as the playthrough is starting. It would really help, because the first 4 or 5 times I couldn't even work out what it was what my current goals were. And here I am upgrading the tank, and I think I only got about another 7 or 8 seconds out of it.
Right. Maybe even put the goals in writing up at the top left of the screen or something. I mean,
or over on the top right. You got the UI is the heads up display is really nice. It's minimalistic. Gives you your current score, the amount of time you've spent in the level, the amount of time you've got left in the level, and kind of what your multiplier up here on the upper right. But and then somebody else's run. I don't, whoever the number 2 is. The physics, well, I'm not going to get into the physics as far as getting kicked up in the air. The car doing that, not that way. Being pushed straight up into the air like that when you crash is kind of, well, silly. Usually you'd hit a wall and bounce, not just hit a wall and then go straight up, because that's maybe not so great. But you know what? It actually adds to the hilarity of the whole situation. So,
right. I don't think this game is trying to be too serious. I think it's more going for a fun and appealing, kind of look. It kind of reminds me of when I was a kid and I had the crash up derbies. I don't know if you ever had those, and the cars that fall apart and you reel them back and crash them into a wall just to see them crash, because you're definitely going to crash a lot in this game, especially when you first start out. I don't care who you are.
I know I did. Holy crap.
But it's a lot of fun. And the next game that we were due to talk about was the Princess Loot, or were we talking about Borstal next?
No, we're doing Princess.Loot.Pixel. Is actually up next, and
you got some footage of that, right?
I've got footage of all 3 games at this point. So
okay, I don't really have any footage of. I didn't record any footage of the Princess Loot game, though I did play it for about 10-15 minutes, and I really liked what I played of it. I can't, looking forward to jumping back into that game.
I mucked around with it for about an hour. This one, but one more note here on on Escape Close Call. It is a Unity game. If you're going to make any changes to your setup, you have to do it in the little launcher that they have. Blah blah blah.
Right.
And here is Princess.Loot.Pixel. There's our friend the knight. This is actually the little intro story. The princess absolutely adores her friend the knight, and then we're going to watch her father the king get snarked off with, and then you get to go on.
Now, this is a game that we actually got because we couldn't kind of come up with another game. We wanted to review and talk about another game tonight when we were discussing it this afternoon. And, we decided to go ahead and do a random game purchase on kingwin.net, a website that I've used quite a bit in the past, probably made about 50 purchases overall in the past 2 years. Most of them are really small games like this that I purchased, though I have purchased some AAA games, and I've never had any problem with kingwin.net. But you can go in there into kingwin.net, register, put in random in the search, and you can find this thing where it'll give you 10 random keys for under $5. And, it turned out that only like 4 or 5 of the games that I got were really anything that I'd be interested in. The others I didn't even install. But, to get 5 games at a value of $5 to $7 each, turned out to be a pretty good deal for my $5. And this game here, the reason I like that Kingwin buy that we did today there, Kage, is because I totally missed out on this game that launched back in November of 2015, last fall. I never even saw it, noticed it, or anything. And I actually really like this game. I think this game is well worth the $5 that I paid Kingwin alone.
Okay. So now that we've seen the background story, let's run through it again. This game is actually available currently by itself, I believe, for $1.10
on Kingwin. Yeah,
on Kingwin right now.
It is $5 on Steam. Yeah,
it's $5 on Steam. You know what? Honestly, if I had to do over again, I'd probably have bought the Steam version to kick the or purchase it on Steam so that the developer gets a little bit more of it.
Oh, true. Yeah, that's a good point.
And that's kind of a thing. If you get a really good game, try and support the folks that are doing this as best you can.
Yeah, it's one thing for AAA games where they already get billions of dollars, but for somebody like this, I mean, they have 160 reviews. They probably only sold 500 to 1,000 games, of this particular game. So they probably aren't getting rich yet because Steam's getting a good chunk of that.
Well, they get about 30% of whatever it sold for, and these guys on Kingwin, they're not going to sell it. They're not going to sell them at a loss. Well, they got them somewhere, and they have to find a way to make their money back in a little bit of a profit too. So.
Oh, absolutely.
So anyway, I went ahead and did a look around at all the varying things. You've got your knight, and I used that for a little while. The Berserker, who turned out to be not so great. So this is kind of where I was. This is kind of me trying to figure out what the hell was going on. The trigger buttons worked for this game, which was actually good for me. Except when I tossed around with the boomerang the first few times, I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I did not notice my mana bar going down with that.
Oh wow!
And then see here where I'm trying to jump up to the next. I did not realize until somewhat later that there was a double jump. It's actually coming up right here. Because now I'm looking around going, oh, I don't have any money for this up there. That's when I say, wait, there's probably a double jump. I should try and tap that twice to see what happens.
Right. Yeah, I didn't realize there was a double jump quite right off the bat either. But
yeah, well, it didn't take long. That's actually that goes to floor 1 too.
I love this game because right off the bat, I know you didn't play. I don't know if you had a Commodore 64, Kage, or not.
Oh yeah,
but back in the day when I was a teenager and I had a Commodore 64, I spent I don't even know how many hours as a teenager playing a game called Montezuma's Revenge. And this game reminds me a lot of that game. It's kind of the same kind of graphics, except Montezuma's Revenge was the same, castle or whatever every time. But the gameplay elements here remind me of a cross between Montezuma's Revenge, which I loved as a teenager, there's kind of a little bit of the Binding of Isaac in this game as well.
Yeah, that was the
and
thing
I love
that I saw. That I was,
Binding
I
of
had
Isaac.
I had that thought too, the whole Binding of Isaac thing. And actually, I didn't get that till later, till after I got through the first one,
Uh-huh.
or until I've actually managed to clear a room and realized every once in a while they'll leave little treasures running around. The traps here coming out of the ceiling, that was irritating in large ways. I wasn't actually expecting to see that kind of thing running around. And they should have, because before I played this, I actually sat and worked with and had a look at some of the reviews. And of course, for everything there is, there's always, for every situation there's always that guy. The guy that you will not make happy regardless, and he's just gonna try and wreck your whole day for no reason other than he can wreck your whole day.
Right.
And that guy turned up in the reviews on the discussions page, saying this game was entirely too easy and he didn't want to, and he was going to apply for a refund. And my thinking was, well, what the hell, dude? You are now officially that guy. You are better than everyone else for every reason you can think of. The game's been out for like 4 hours. You say you've beaten it. I'm not sure if you've beaten this game or if you're just telling us you did because you're a jerk like that.
Could be.
This
It's like where's your gameplay footage? Let's see you master the whole level the first time through. But the cool thing is with this game, there's multiple classes to take, and like you was talking about the traps there or whatever. I mean, you're lucky that when you ran into that trap, you wasn't like me. The first time I ran into a trap, I was a mage and had 5 health, so the trap killed me.
Oh, that would suck. That would suck only a lot.
Yeah. So definitely a learning experience. But yeah, I really like this game. I think this game definitely, I'm surprised this game hasn't gotten a lot more attention, especially for the popularity. As popular as these, roguelike kind of games are, these adventure kind of games. I think this one's an excellent little gem.
Here's the flip side of that: is that there are lots and lots and lots of roguelike games anymore.
There are.
I mean, anytime you want to try and make a game that's gonna be that's going to be really popular, or that you want to be really popular, you attach roguelike to it, and there are people that will just jump all over it.
Yep, and if you do an RPG, you're going to get people interested, and you even want to get even more people interested, do an RPG combination zombie. Everybody loves zombies too. So,
well, no, zombies have been way overdone, and everybody bloody well knows it. See, here's okay. Warrior is about to die because I was kind of being ridiculous. It wouldn't let me do much with that and I died.
Ouch.
This is Sparta. I'm gonna go back to the warrior, and then I'm gonna die here real fast. So yeah, at some point I suck at games. But I'm actually allowed to suck at games like this because like I said, these are not the ones I usually. This is not the kind of game I usually play. Being an RPG, and I use a proper RPG, and usually I'll be able to take them apart in fairly short order. And this, I don't think I even survived this room right here. I spent all my time trying to. Yep, there I went.
Oh wow! They got you, huh?
Oh, did they ever? I did one more real short run as the warrior, and then I went and did a couple of the other classes. So the classes all have their own little mechanics, and they do them fairly well. I checked out the mage and the berserker, and I think I quit on the berserker because berserker crap. There's where I picked up the whole. That's where I first thought Binding of Isaac.
Yeah, yeah. It kind of has a combination of a platformer maybe, and a combination Binding of Isaac and platformer in one. And I love the fact that it is procedural every time you play. So you're going to be getting a different.
And here's where I figured out what those doors were for.
Yeah.
And here is where I get myself killed. Killed very quickly.
Oh, is that the boss's room?
No, that was actually just a random zombie that was running around.
Oh wow.
I got myself killed in a big way right here. It's coming up in the next little bit.
I think you played this game a little bit more than I did there, Kage. What would you my son was playing this game. He said he really liked it.
Boom.
What would you give this game on a scale of 1 to 10?
I don't know. Once again, it's not one of my favorite. It's not my favorite type of critter, but it is certainly competent at what it does. I'd say probably 8.5.
Sounds like a fair assessment.
And actually, I probably was a little bit generous with. I was probably a lot generous with Escape, but the dev moves so quickly on a lot of this that's actually worth bonus points. Normally,
I can certainly understand
uh,
that.
normally with most games of this nature, I wouldn't even see. This is the Berserker, and I killed that one in 3 whacks and didn't actually manage to get hurt.
I like that the Berserker has like a skull mask on. He looks like a badass.
But yeah, the dev here is really, or the dev for Escape was really very, very quick about getting things whipped out. Like I said, to the degree where I had some complaints with the control surfaces, and he had them fixed before I even had a chance to bitch at him. The Archer, this was actually kind of an interesting one. I never did get around to getting his to working out how exactly to make his special work. Although it's not really all that hard to get it to work. It was one of those things. I wouldn't necessarily call this a platform game. It's actually kind of more an almost a Metroid type thing.
Kind of an adventure.
Yeah, it's a Metroid type thing with procedural maps. They have about for what I saw, about 3 dozen different room types. They make up some small levels by associating them together randomly. That's actually a monopill I couldn't use because I had no way to do so.
Right.
And here's where our Archer died, because one of the things that the Archer cannot do is shoot up over his head.
Yeah, I found that out too. You couldn't shoot up. You pretty much have to shoot left or right.
I have no idea what killed me there. None. I don't even know what happened. I'm still questioning that. I'm going, oh, what the hell happened here? I went with this next time around. I actually went with the mage just to see if it was like a lot different or maybe just a little. Turned out it was a lot different. This particular run through lasted almost as long as the because right after I died for this one here, I went ahead and shut this down. But the mage actually was pretty successful for me.
Yeah, I played the mage. I thought it was pretty fun. I mean, he's obviously very vulnerable. He can't get close, and that's common with any of these kind of RPG games, whether it be an MMO or whatever. You pick a mage, he's going to be deadly powerful with the spells, and usually really weak at hand-to-hand combat. You want to.
Well, the Berserker was about half of what I expected him to, considering the hype and the. See, there's the little lightning bolt thing. Murdering things just at random. There. Okay. I didn't quite murder that one right away, though. That was kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, your timing is definitely important in a game like this.
Yeah, and my timing at this particular point blew. And the other thing I noticed about our friend the mage here is he's actually faster than just about every other character. I did not check out the rogue thief thing. But I did. I did have a look at a couple. I did have a look at this one. He's considerably faster than most of the other characters I tried.
Yeah, I only played the mage and the archer, I believe. I didn't really spend enough time with it to play every class, but I did notice the paladin class. Did you spend any time with the paladin at all?
I did not. This is actually all the footage I've got.
I kind of wonder if the paladin can do a self-heal for a heart's worth of life or something. I kind of doubt it, because it kind of seems like they want you to pick up life and find life and buy life at the stores that you can find.
Oh god, I actually wound up buying mana at one point. During this playthrough, I actually wound up buying mana.
Really? So you had to make a choice there, huh? And did you have a choice between buying mana at the store or buying life?
I don't know. I think it was. I think I had the opportunity to get keys and mana. It'll be up here in a minute.
Another interesting thing I noticed when my son was playing the game, and he went into a shop, and every shop looks like it's a little bit different. So sometimes they'll have 5 different things, or sometimes there'll just be a couple. And one store my son went to, it had, you could buy mana for 99 gold, or you could buy a random.
Here it is.
Yeah, my son had a random choice, a random perk.
Random item thing or whatever.
Right. I thought that was kind of cool.
This is a thing. Okay, here's a thing that got me.
Oh, you had a big store there.
Actually, that's all the ones I saw. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll give it just a second here. So as I decided that it's time to move, because I actually looked around for a minute. See here, that's a thing that bothers me every time.
What's that?
It's the defense you soul. Well, okay, that's great if you don't, if your first language isn't English. But please, people, please. Most of the rest of the writing, most of the rest of the text that I've seen is actually pretty good.
Uh-huh.
There's not. This is kind of a mangling of the language. If your English is not your first language, folks, and you're doing a game in English, contact somebody that does speak English natively and get them to kind of proofread some of this stuff.
Right.
It'll go over a lot better with English speaking languages if you do that. That is a big thing as far as I'm concerned, especially when you're talking about text-heavy games. This here is mostly forgivable. I wasn't quite sure what they meant originally, but it was just kind of a thing. It was enough to
make you stop and enjoying the fun. When you stop enjoying the game and the fun, you have to figure something out.
It kind of breaks the whole thing.
Right.
I wound up buying a couple of mana. Because you're only going to get X number of mana. You only get there's actually an increase in your mana pool by 1. It's
okay.
Thing areas. Health plus 10, your luck and all that other sort of thing.
Yeah, I think mana is usually pretty important to a mage, no matter what game you're playing.
Yeah, so. And mana pickups are few and far between. I've seen one and it came up in the art. I've seen one ever and it came up in the archer's playthrough. By this time, I've actually pretty much cleared this dungeon level, so it was time to go looking for the exit.
Right, looking for the step down.
Well, the step to the next room. I was just kind of at this point. I'm kind of scurrying off, going, "What the hell do I do now?"
Right.
I'm starting to think, maybe I should get on with, finding my way out. I don't think at this point that I have any of the monsters that are left, and I've got all the treasures by now, so it was time to go to the next level.
Right, you're just kind of looking, because that's what you're going to have anytime you have a procedurally generated dungeon, is you're not going to know where exactly to go, so you might be fumbling around kind of looking for the exit.
Well, I know where the exit was. I already found it this playthrough, and I was trying to remember where it was, and
right.
Finally said, "Wait, I remember now."
And the bad thing is, you sit there and remember that, in this game, and then you die.
The only thing I couldn't. This is the only thing I couldn't get in that section. I couldn't get a silver key to open that door, and there was no way I was going to get one. There wasn't a place I could just go and dig one out. It was just not there. There wasn't a key. There wasn't such a key on sale in the store, and I'd seen them there prior.
Really? Wow.
I'd seen them in earlier playthroughs. They had been there, but not on this playthrough. And here in a little less than a minute, I'm going to get my ass killed in the most stupid way imaginable. This is going to be funny. Okay. Pay attention.
Is this your rage moment? Is this your rage moment, Kage?
This is the moment where I go, holy crap. Did that just happen? It wasn't so much a rage moment as it was completely facepalm inducing. I mean, we're talking about the quadruple facepalm, and here it is. Watch Kage screw up, right there. The slug is walking away from me. I died attacking it.
That's funny.
I'm sitting here beating it with a stick. The damn thing isn't even looking at me. It doesn't even know I'm here. It still killed me.
Yep, I think that's one of those moments where you definitely should have used that extra mana you bought there, Kage, and shot it from afar.
Let's put a pause on that here while we keep talking. While we finish up what we're saying here. And actually, I'm going to go back to the previous video here real quick and pause in my moment of grief right there. Now I'm dead.
All over the screen.
How about you? How about you? What'd you come up with for a rating for this?
I haven't, to be honest, I haven't, that's one thing I definitely will plan on doing here in the next few days is sometime in the next few days to the next week, you'll see a proper score for this game on my YouTube channel. So definitely check that out. I believe Kage has a link down below. I think when you rated it an 8.5, that sounds probably in the ballpark. But I really want to play the game a little bit more before I can give it a review because I only played it like 5 or 10 minutes. So.
Yeah, I got about 20 minutes or so into this at this point. And for a game of this nature, it's probably about enough.
Yeah, I think it's worth the money, especially if you buy it on Kingwin. If you like these kind of games, it's definitely worth the $5 on Steam. Christian, what would you give this game? He played it more than I did. Christian, what would you give this this escape game or the Princess Loot game that you played? Remember the game I bought? My son said he would give it an 8 out of 10.
So yeah, we're pretty much right in the same ballpark.
Yep.
Thumbs up, that kind of thing.
Yep, and he can't hear you because I got a headset on, so seems like a pretty fair assessment there for coming from both of you guys. Well, early assessment anyway, 15 minute assessment from both guys. It sounds like. But yeah, definitely worth checking out, especially if you like these. I don't know, whatever you'd call it. Not an action RPG, definitely a 2D adventure, dungeon adventure, I guess.
2D adventure, dungeon adventure would be good. I wouldn't call it a platformer, honestly. There's only a very limited amount of true platforming. Like the Berserker playthrough, there was the most of the floor is made up out of green water, and there was a platform that moved back and forth, and I mixed it between a set of stairs on the far side of the room and you don't have a lot of the platforming hazardy stuff in here. There's a little bit, but it's not enough to make it a true platforming game. That's kind of why I was going with more of the randomized Metroid thing. That I thought
Kage has these games
a little more apt.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kage, like I said, has all these games linked down below if you guys want to go support them or buy them.
Or even just check them out.
Yep.
Or even just check out the store pages because they're actually really nifty critters. Give me a second here. And
now we're going into the fail of the week, at least in my opinion.
You know what? Honestly, I'm gonna chuck this one up to not just. I wouldn't necessarily give it fail of the week. I'm thinking more like fail of the decade at this point, because this was really really bad.
And that's what thing. That's the thing you take. You take a chance. When you buy these games.
There's the page there for Princess.Loot.Pixel.Again, so you've got the right one. We didn't do that initially because we kind of jumped from one to the next. You have some footage of Borstal. I think I've got some. I don't know how much footage you've got total.
I think I've got about 8 minutes.
I think probably about 10, 12 minutes.
Okay.
I can
go ahead and shoot, man. Go ahead and shoot your playthrough.
I've got 11 minutes 18.
Okay.
In terms of footage there, I don't know how much you've got.
I got about 8 minutes, so we got plenty of footage to. Let's put it this way: together, we've got more footage of this game than you would likely play if you bought the game that you'd want to play.
Well, that's all right. So let's do this. Okay, there it is. This is Borstal. It's actually got 2 different stories to it. Played the first level, and not the second one. I was not amused enough to do that. $2.39, of course, on the magic of Steam.
What I think is really bad is when you see the price tag $2.39 on sale. Of course, you don't have a whole lot of expectations going into a $2 game, but then when you're still left like WTF is all you can think of.
Yeah, what was I just doing? What is this?
Yeah, it just brings on a whole new level of fail when you buy a $2 game and you're still feeling ripped off.
Hell, I've seen, but then again, in all fairness, I've done some free games that I thought where I was firmly of the opinion that I was ripped off.
Yeah, because of your time.
Anybody that's been on my channel forever has probably seen my review of Depression Quest. All right. Borstal actually drove me batty for quite a while, and part of it was that it didn't want to work with OBS. Getting screen captures of this actually required that I do some really icky turning things around and trying to get some of it worked out. That was the train wreck that didn't need to happen.
Wow.
It did happen, and that's not the best thing in the world. Anyway, I think we'll actually kind of start letting the footage speak for itself a little bit here, and because some of the biggest problems that we had, that either of us had with this thing, were going to be blatantly obvious here in just a couple of minutes.
Oh wow.
And of course, my first playthrough is kind of short. The second playthrough actually takes up most of this period, and we get a lot of work. It gets a bit of a workout. So there is no actual audio here. It's 1926. You're 13 years old. Blah 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 blah.
You're looking for your father.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's about as thin as premises get, and even that is really friggin' thin.
Well, and in all fairness, it does more of a production than either of the past two games that we liked, Kage. Escape Close Call didn't have that much, and neither did Princess Loot. Well, I guess it did have a little bit of a short intro movie.
It wasn't actually, believe it or not, that intro for Princess Loot is playable.
Right, that's true.
So that was kind of fun. And that's where I gotten out there. I went out there, kind of looked around for a little bit, tried to expand the map a bit, and then I went back to my crates so that I could, rest, food, do the thing, and move on. Those crates there are the only thing that's really static in this game are those crates, and you can go back to those crates at any time. And get
refill your food
and refill your food and anything that they actually contain: matches, lanterns, food. Okay, at one point, eventually, I'm just going to abandon the mouse and use the hotkeys. I don't do that for this playthrough, I don't think. But now the poor boy is sick. It does have a zoom in, zoom out, but that's really not going to help you. Into the house.
Just show you more pixelated graphics.
Well, and then we're going to do we're going to do a whole thing here in a second. Here we are. This is the second entry into the house, and it looks like a fisherman lived here, whereas before it was just an abandoned house that had a lantern in it. Old house seems to be abandoned. Now I'm dead. The next playthrough I get a lot more careful about how I do things, and I lasted quite a while, but it was just the whole thing. See,
monotonous.
You can already see over here. You can already see the corner of a house right here. Okay. Check it out. And I'm going to stay in this area for a little while, trying to figure out exactly what it thinks I'm supposed to do. But to really finish the game, you've got to be in that place for a freaking month. You have like a month to finish it, and I would think that somebody would have come looking for you after a month. You're 13 years old. I mean,
No kidding.
who the hell is this guy? Who the hell are these kids' parents? I don't get that. But just I think it's 2 day. I think it's 3 day and 3 night. You got a morning, a noon, and an afternoon, evening, night, kind of a dawn thing. Or actually, it's probably I think it might be 2 night. But again, you can go and wander around. If it's raining, you want to kind of not do things. I don't ever trust drugs that just found sitting someplace. So aspirin tablets were out. You know, nobody with a brain does this. But also, if you get to the point where where your little rest indicator up there on the upper right is turning flashing red and white, you actually have to rest twice to get to really get it in to really get anywhere or to go away. You go from exhausted to tired and then to okay. But one thing of food is plenty to get y'all hooked. And that was the jam there.
So you find yourself having to go back and forth between your crate or someplace to get food, and really not getting anywhere because of your desperate need to stay alive.
And it takes a while to get around things, but you can see here where each time you were entering a house or some other sort of object, that it changed every time. That it changes every time, and that shouldn't happen. There are a few ways to get around this that we'll go into here in a little bit.
Another thing too, Kage, and I don't know if you experience this, but at this point in your game, I mean, while you're playing the game, and I don't know if you felt this as well, but did you almost feel like while you were playing and you're in 3-4 minutes into the game that you're like, oh my gosh, I need a Mountain Dew, I need toothpicks to hold my eyelids open? I mean, just a very, very boring game. I mean, even though you're on the verge of death, you should feel more like you're on the verge of death, even in a simplistic graphical game like this,
and then
not
the
bored out of your
sound
mind.
doesn't actually change.
Yeah, I mean, there's just nothing here to keep you
There's
interested.
no real audio visual feedback except the little icons in the upper right hand corner. Okay, he's hungry and he's exhausted. Well, great, that doesn't help. It really doesn't. Here in a little bit, you're going to see me do something that you're going to think is really silly. Because they see I've gone back over to that house. There's a very small cellar dug out in the ground. There's a little flag that says I've been to that cellar, and it works out. It works out here in a couple. And they do something else with it here in a couple of minutes. It's right here. You're remembering, of course, the food from the larder, and you're ill now. But medical supplies are hard to come by. And I go dumping that knife that I picked up, the first knife I picked up.
I think the only medical supplies there is aspirin, from what I saw.
That's the only one. Those are the only ones I actually saw.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean that there aren't others, but they're
we didn't play it long enough or care to play it long enough to find out. I really get the sense that there really wasn't anything else, because I mean, I saw a knife 30 times, an aspirin 20 times. And,
old house abandoned, a strange room, and it's different. Each one of these is different nearly every time, and he only seems to have put in 4 or 5 different kind of events that go on, but every time you step off a cell and then back onto a cell, the random number generator hits it again. And what was a fisherman's house 30 seconds ago, or not even necessarily that, the amount of time it took you to step off and come back, it's now a farm.
10 seconds later,
and you have to wonder, what happened, who did that, and you just don't have an answer. Most likely because there isn't one.
Yeah, I mean, imagine playing an imaginary game, or not imaginary game, but imagine playing a 3D immersive game where, you start off in a forest, in a 3D survival game or whatever, and you start off in a forest and you take a step forward, and then you take a step back to the exact same spot, and now suddenly you're in a desert. And then you take a step forward and take a step back, even in a 3D game, and all of a sudden you're in an island. I mean, that wouldn't make any sense either. So based on the random number generation in this game, even a superb graphical improvement to 10 out of 10 graphics wouldn't help this game.
Yeah, it would be really kind of a pain. Well, that's kind of strange. I'm looking at the. There we go. I was looking for the live chat to see just how dead the live chat is. Nobody's saying anything at the moment.
Yeah,
we do have some people watching, so that's always fun. We appreciate you guys stopping by.
And be sure you guys, if you're watching this recording, like after the live stream, if you're watching this now and it's, not the live stream, but just a recording of the video, and you have any questions or comments or whatever, be sure you put those down below on Kage's comment section below the video. And, I know he'll be good at answering those or talking to me, and we can maybe get those questions or concerns.
Okay, and you know what? Actually, while I was doing that, we missed a thing. Okay, because now here we go. I'm going to go wander off, and then we have everything on this island seems to be abandoned, and the glimmer of hope abandons you as well. What did you expect coming here? The whole, I'm not sure.
Lol.
I want to eat the food, yes. Maybe you feel sick. Maybe staying out in the rain wasn't the best idea. And now suddenly I'm on the other end of the map and no idea how.
Oh, boy.
Everything looks like it's been abandoned. Nobody's been here in a while. Well, guess what, folks? That was really kind of irksome. But again, you step off, you step back on, and it's different. Just kind of, it's like a lot of it just doesn't connect. It doesn't come together at all. And in a game like this, you're going to want to get things. You're going to want to keep things connected. One of the things the developers can do to kind of alleviate some of this, and of course, a graphical update probably may not even be possible. It looks like you used RPG Maker and some scripts to do this. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Procedural generation of the map isn't necessarily a bad thing, but a flag with just a short in it to say what actually happens, to say what this particular cell is. If it's a house thing, you get the first time you hit the RNG, the first time the player walks onto it, and then it stays that way.
Right.
Would do wonders for this game. Even if we can't get a nice fat graphical update, there we go.
So Catherine G, welcome to the live stream, Catherine. First of all, Catherine G says, "Is this a game not to be played?" Well, under my recommendation,
this is a game not to be played.
Yeah, unless the developer goes in and changes things from a complete random mess to actually, making houses consistent and making a consistent map every time you play. Like Kage said, random generation is fine in a game like this. I mean, it's even nice to have a completely random game every time you play. But you want that random generation to happen once on the map, not every time you take a step.
See what I was talking about? I just found the other coast.
Oh, wow.
It's getting colder, and it's a dead man from the house, and I'm dead. And then I clicked up the exit, and it was time, and it was over.
Yeah, I mean, this is a game
I wanted no further part of that at that point.
It sounds like you stayed really calm compared to me. And if you want to see somebody rage, go and watch my video review on this game. And it put me in a rage, and I was a complete sarcastic, I would say, ass to the developer of this game. And if I had developed this game, I would not want to watch my review because I'd probably get pissed at me because this game sent me into rage mode, complete overly sarcastic mode. I don't know if you've watched my video on this game, Kage.
I watched it. I did watch it. I also stopped by and checked the comments on it, and the developer did exactly that. He kind of gave you the whole learn to play thing going.
Oh yeah.
And my brain went. My brain turned over and said, you know. I kind of looked at that and was like, no, dude. I then cordially invited him to join us for the stream, and we're an hour and some change into the stream now, and yeah, he isn't here. I don't know if it's because he hasn't seen it, or because he just didn't want to come in here and ask questions and get his butt kicked.
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to welcome, and to talk with us on live if he had joined, into the chat session we have. I would welcome in to talk with us live too to make it more fair. But
yeah, certainly we could send him a link to come join us for a few minutes and have the whole back and forth thing. I would be thrilled to interview some of these developers and kind of get where they're going with some of these, because Borstal, I have no idea where he was going with that. I'm not 100% sure he does.
Right.
And I don't ask for a lot. Some consistency would have been beautiful here. This
is my playthrough where I kind of went in to make a point about this game. I wasn't even really trying to play for, to survive. I was trying to survive long enough to make a point. But here I am on a wood pile getting some wood. I filled my everything up, so I have to eat some food first before I can actually pick up some wood, because you need wood to start a fire. Especially if you're sick or something like that. I think you're going to have to do that. But let me go ahead and move a little bit further into this, because I think people have seen enough of this already. Let's take a look here.
Anyway, while he's doing that, hello, Catherine. It has been an hour or so since we talked to you last. How you been today? It's actually a couple hours later for her than it is for us, so it's kind of a thing. Yeah, she's from the east coast of South America.
Oh wow.
So that's all kinds of fun. I'm not going to say any more than that really at this point.
So yeah, in this game here,
you
see me play. You see me land on a house, and I see that it's a dark house stench with decay. I find a jar of apple jam, and this was perfect because it let me make my point here. I moved off of it, back on. Now it's an old house. It seems to be abandoned, and it's a farmhouse where a farmer lived. And I find another jar of jam. Now, note that if you drop anything to pick up the jar of jam here, anything you drop will just vanish.
It's gone.
Keep track of it. And it's maddening. I moved off of it again and back onto it. Now it's another abandoned house that has a heavy metal door, so it's like a dungeon house now or something.
I am way more interested in dancing cursors right now. I'm sorry. You've got you were using the mouse on your game, and your recording software picked it up, and now you're running around pointing at other things with it, and you cursors into the whole dancing thing. It was actually kind of funny.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's maddening to me that the developer, the advice I could give to the developer here is, again, figure out how to do an array, figure out how to hold the information once you create a random map. Don't be creating a whole random house every time you take a step off of it and back onto it. You need to, form an array, learn what an array is. And if you don't know how to do that, it's basic programming knowledge. I'm not a big programmer, but I know how to do an array. A lot of people that might be watching wouldn't know what this is, but an array basically can hold data, and store data for later use. And you set that up at the beginning of the game. You would set that up, and then you do your random generation for your map once, and then hold all your information for each spot, every house, every location, You know,
any inventory items that might be there, and
exactly.
you can swap, and each one of those has a stack. You can, if you pick up the jam and put down a knife, the knife can still be there later. You know, and it doesn't take more than a couple of ints to do that.
It doesn't.
We're
talking about any basic coding. You're talking about 30 minutes or less to fix this game. So Catherine asked, is this game not to be played right now? Yes. But if the developer wants to do as other developers, you know, good developers, I would say, on Steam do, and listen to their feedback, listen to the critiques being made to their games, you know, he could fix this easily in one day and have this game maybe a lot more fun, at least. But right now, it's just a random mess, and it feels like you're just rolling a dice on a table half asleep, and, you know, it's no fun. I mean, who wants to sit there and roll a dice on the table half asleep for 2 hours? Nobody wants to do that. And I certainly don't want to pay to do that, even $2.39.
Well, you know, if we're going to sit and roll dice around a table for 2 hours, we might as well go get, you know, Dungeons and Dragons or the old fast Star Trek role-playing game. We can all sit around and, you know, and then you have some interaction.
Exactly.
With this, you don't even really get all that much kind of even really feedback from the game, except the occasional random text blurb. And you know, the universe will just jump out at you and
imagine this. I mean,
give you noogies at random.
Yeah, in a game like this, the game itself is your dungeon master. I haven't played a whole lot of D&D in my past, but I kind of know how it works. So in this game here, you know, the game and the game world itself is your dungeon master. And can you imagine people going and playing a D&D game and having the dungeon master say, hey, you walk up to a house, you walk inside, it's a dark house that looks like an old farmhouse. And then you walk outside, oh, I forgot to, you know, I wanted to get some wood out off of a tree. Dungeon master takes you back out there. You go back into the same house again. Then all of a sudden the dungeon master says, hey, this is a
fisherman's hut.
Whatever. You know, it's something completely different. You'd be looking at the dungeon master saying, WTF. And that's exactly what this game does. I mean, that's why it's a fail. I couldn't even score this game. I gave it a 0.
I think I don't ever go below 1, and 1 is kind of depression quest awful. This is almost the same thing. I mean, it's a game. It looks like a game. It works like a game, and it's really not. It's just an exercise in random numbers.
Mm-hmm.
But also note that, you know, here you're back in. It's telling you you're in a fisherman's house. There's no water.
True.
Anywhere on the screen.
That's true.
Fishermen live by water, especially when if you're talking about, you know, 1913, where they're not on a small island where you're necessarily not going to have motor cars.
It's just a mess. Let's get off this game. Actually, let's do this. Let's go to Borstal. What was it?
Borstal.
I think it is.
Actually, I have it up over here.
Okay. So bring it up over there and look at some of the reviews. This is what blows my mind with, you know, this game, is that I think mine was the only bad review out of like 10 or 12 reviews until
there was another one. There was another one that came up.
Another one finally came up. But most people are finding this as a good game and really good, and this makes me want to pull my hair out. I'm like, why? How are you guys finding this as a good game? It's just random numbers.
Actually, this gets better, because if you actually go into actually looking at the, if you actually go in and look at some of these, and I voted some of these down, some of these here, you actually wound up with, let's see if I can actually get over there here. See, there's Zax's. And you've got this one here that's got 14 reviews, and he didn't think very much of it. He ran all the way through here. Conclusions: adult survival roguelite game where the gameplay is reading badly written narration text and randomly died for pathetic reasons. This is more of a cringe than a video game. Okay, and we all know what Zax thinks of it. But you get something like this one. It's a small but interesting game for the price it asks. More than enough gameplay, and it will take some tries to complete it. A true indie game. Don't compare it to big productions. Enjoy it for what's there, and you'll have a great game in your collection for a fair price. I can't agree with that.
Mm-mm. I think most people are saying, hey, it was only $2, so it can be an epic fail, and that's cool. So I'm going to give it a thumbs up. What?
No. Actually, this gets better. If you go back over here and click the discussions thing, reviews. Okay. Here is, let's see, this is Zax's. And you have a developer that's decided to kind of brush the whole thing off. I'm sure the game is randomized on every playthrough, like any roguelike game, but you definitely should put some strategy into your moves. It's the RNG. You can't strategize the RNG. Gaming the RNG is just asking to get your butt kicked.
Yeah, there's no strategy in just rolling dice, and that's what you're doing every time you move in this game. He's right about, yeah, it's a random generation, but then different houses and different locations change every time, and he doesn't even have variables or arrays to hold the data of what you drop, where, and when. How are you going to have strategy in something like that? Every time you move, it's just roll a dice roll. There's no strategy at all whatsoever.
And I was very nice and offered him an invitation to come visit the stream, and maybe it could be that he hasn't seen it yet. He might be sleeping at this hour, but
Yeah,
he'll at least get the criticism that we have in some of our suggestions. But let's see here.
I think you can see, Kage, the difference here between, for example, that we talked about with Escape Close Call, who was very prompt at taking critiques, even though we both liked the game. Any complaints about the game, bam, he acknowledged it. And I'm not saying the developer has to do everything that every customer says, oh, do this, do this, because that's impossible. But if you get something that's a valid complaint, at least open your mind up to listen to why people are complaining or why the negative people are complaining, and try to fix it, try to make it better, try to understand that your game may not be perfect. There may be criticism with it that's valid, and I think that's a perfect here.
And that's why you don't just write a review, folks. If you're going to review the games on Steam, don't just say dev needs to go die in a fire. Why does the dev need to go die in a fire, and what is it that prompted this particular response? This guy here, Pronum, he's been seeing several of the positive reviews with that there heads up reviewer is friends with the dev, and that's on a lot of them. Apparently, this Pronum guy went and looked on the guy's friends list and said, hey, we got to. There's a thing here, and maybe there's a reason that we've got a bunch of positive reviews.
Right.
The whole friends and family thing.
And what they do, not only do they write BS positive reviews for a game like this to make the game look more appealing when people look at it on Steam, but also they are thumbs downing any valid negative reviews as well. Like mine, for example. In all likelihood.
I don't know if yours has gotten any of those. Let's have a look. I can't tell, actually. Well, actually, it's gotten a couple. 27 to 54 people, about half, found the review helpful. Well, that's not bad. I think the average is about 60.
Right.
There you go. There's this one here was actually just put up a little bit ago. I think. No, that's actually a couple days old. You see, Pronum hasn't been here and said that this is a friend of the dev. This one here, friends with the dev. I know there's a couple. There's a few of them here where he did actually say that. This one here, this is a fairly long one. I won't go into it. Apparently the thing has, various endings, and I have no idea how that works.
Are you willing to roll the dice long enough to randomly plop yourself into those winning positions? I mean, I don't.
I don't have that. I don't have that kind of time, and I don't have that kind of money.
Don't have that kind of patience either.
If you're going to use the RNG, fine. Just don't use it for everything all the freaking time.
Yeah. It has to make sense.
And this just doesn't. I didn't play the other story, and I actually at this point really don't want to. I'm not sure if you did either.
I mean, I refunded that game within 20 minutes or something like that. And a lot of people, you know, it depends on the kind of game, because a lot of people will say, you know, you can't properly review a game in 20 minutes. Well, this is the kind of game that you certainly can. You can see more than enough of how the game works to know that, you know,
if you're seeing a major problem inside of 20 minutes, you've got an issue, and it needs, and it should, and that's the thing that the developer needs to address.
And honestly, I don't think it would take him very long to fix it.
Oh, I doubt it seriously. I've got a fairly good idea of what he did and how he did it.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that I can even replicate if I tried hard enough in RPG Maker.
Right.
I'm not sure that I would want to, if only because it would just be a complete setting up the RNG to do what he's managed to do with it would take quite a while. It's actually quite clever in that particular way. Unfortunately, he forgot to take control away from the RNG after it was done with what it was doing. And that's not good.
I heard a little one.
Hang on a sec, Zax.
No, I like it.
But he's got a concept here that could work. He really needs to work on the writing. Something like this should have a story. It should really kind of have a flow to it, and there just isn't. On top of everything else that is, on top of the things that are mechanically wrong, the story is just so thin. And you tell us up front that it's only going to be a couple of days, but you've got to finish. But to get one of the achievements, you've got to finish it in 4 days. And it's like, well, 4 if it's in game days. And they're like, okay, if you knew exactly where you were going, and a day is considerably longer than it is, because apparently each step that you take is several hours.
Mm-hmm.
On this thing, and if I wanted to kind of multiply that out, I mean, an average human walking speed is what, about 2.5 miles an hour, 3 on a bad day.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I've actually played both RPGs, and I really did enjoy them. I don't get too much anymore. All of my friends from way back when I was in high school, they've kind of scattered to 4 winds now. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Where was I?
I was talking about walking speed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're talking about a morning, a noon, and an evening, plus 3 darkness. You're talking what, 4 hours or so in between times? 4 hours at this point. Each one of those steps is at that point about 8 to 12 miles. And by the time you're done with that math, and then the whole map from coast to coast is probably about 50, 60 squares. 12 miles is, or 12. You're looking at 12 miles square at about 60. Give me a second here. I could do this in my head. I just feel like it. You're talking about an area 720 miles across, and that's a big freaking island, especially off the coast of England, which is where you're supposed to be.
Right.
I don't know that there's anything that big out there.
I think what he's essentially saying is that time goes by way too quick, and just it's overly simplified, but it's made even more maddening simple that it's just a random numbers every time you move.
And then it'll rain for 4 days straight. That was interesting. Usually, if it's going to rain, if it's actually stops and rains for 4 days, the entire area you're in is going to get flooded unless you're up on high ground.
Right.
Caves flood. They do that well.
Now, Kage, speaking of Borstal, yeah, I think we've given that game way more attention than it even deserves. I hate to say it at this point, but I want to talk about something else. I want to ask you something in particular before we wrap this whole live stream up. It doesn't look like we have a whole lot of people watching, but hopefully this live stream, the recording, will get some more attention. We can think about what we want to do for next week. I would encourage anybody watching this right now or watching the recorded video to comment down below and let us know what you guys want us to talk about. What is it you guys want to hear us talk about? What is it you guys want to see in particular? But I want to talk about one thing before we wrap this up, and I want to ask you, why do you think it is that on Steam in particular, which is probably the biggest market for downloadable indie games, why does it seem to you that some of the most deserving games for recognition and for purchases and things like that don't sell very many copies at all, don't get the recognition they deserve, while meanwhile pieces of utter crap such as, let's just call one out and say Goat Simulator, sell through the roof and make the developer millions and millions of dollars?
Well,
what would you say to that?
There's a couple things here. First off, I didn't mind Goat Simulator myself, but then I like, kind of breaking things in with the physics, just broken as they are. Just Goat Simulator is a thing that I go to if I just want to create a big squirrely mess, and I don't want to do it. I don't want to like tear the walls out of my apartment. Because the landlord would take a pretty dim view of that, I think. Some things are good for, some things are, it really depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for kind of a catharsis, then Goat Simulator would be great. If you're looking to get offended, then you go play the Slaughtering Grounds.
Right.
It really comes down to what are you looking to do that 5 seconds. And, a lot of people have a lot of different tastes. There's some people that like Gary's mod. I was never big on it myself. There are some people that like me, but like the more sedate pace of a turn-based RPG or a turn-based strategy game, or other things where you have some time to sit and think, or a walking simulator like, say, the Stanley Parable, which was absolutely outstanding, by the way.
Yeah, I still need to play that.
You get kind of drawn into the story and just kind of sit and savor it and kind of play with the environment and do fun things. The Stanley Parable, of course, deserved every second of every bit of the attention it got. I didn't hear nearly as good of things about the Beginner's Guide, but I'd still like to check it out just to check it out. Different people like different types of things, and oftentimes the more shiny something is, or the more unusual it is, the more likely you are to actually get some response. Goat Simulator at the time was a very interesting thing. It was something that wasn't done very often. Nowadays, you can go out onto Steam and find just about any word on just about any noun in the dictionary with the word simulator whacked on the end. And games like that, after a while, and a lot of them are just junk. And it becomes kind of like a meme. And that's something I know that's something that drives me up trees. I mean, I saw a restaurant simulator where you had to try and find a way to grab a freaking leek and get it in a pan, and you have no freaking clue exactly how you're supposed to do it. The physics are so destroyed that you can't pick anything up. Everything winds up on the deck. Or even if you do manage to get it on the spatula, getting it out of the pan once you burn the shit out of it is that much more frustrating and evil.
Right.
But you had Goat Simulator, you had Surgeon Simulator, which is a joke game, and it was honest by itself.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. The thing that drives me nuts, Kage, is on Steam. Honestly, I am overwhelmed at how many games I'm coming across, especially these indie games, that I love, that I rate high, that I know that I could sink tons of hours into. And most of these games that I end up loving, that I end up really liking, have a handful of reviews, a handful of purchases on Steam. Meanwhile, there's continued nothing but garbage, and people can look at the preview videos and see these games are nothing but junk. But they, for some reason, sell through the roof, and it drives me nuts how unfair it is to the indie developers out there who are really trying to create something special. They're just getting covered up by all these developers out there who are making just nothing but junk and selling through the roof and making money.
A large part of this actually comes from Project Greenlight. And no, I don't have a lot of good things to say about that either. Kind of want to do one of these days. We're gonna have to get. I don't know if we're gonna get to it tonight because it's actually we're running up towards the 2-hour mark now. We got about 15 minutes for that. Project Greenlight sends a lot of really just crap stuff into the Steam store for no other reason than enough people thought it would be hilarious to see whoever it is fail. The Slaughtering Grounds got that way. Got on that way. Let me just grab something here real quick. And this goes back to a thing that I saw earlier, or that I had actually intended to hit last week. Well, that's interesting. That's very interesting because those were here last week. There were 18 games in this spot last week.
Wow.
There are 2 pages of it, and there are now none. There is not one game here. That's very interesting. They took all of their all of their games have just vanished, which I find entertaining in a rather perverse sort of way. A little bit of
feeling they'll pop back up
on my part.
Just a momentary. Yeah,
I'm not sure what happened to them, whether or not they were taken down by Steam or taken down by the Romine brothers after all the coverage that went on probably 36 channels, including this one and Mundane Matt and some other places. Certainly Jim Sterling isn't covering it, but I can understand why that might be. But yeah, there was. Let me try this here.
While you're doing that, let's go ahead. I just want to go ahead and bring up another question to you. What is it you and I can do, Kage, as well as the viewers who are watching this video? What is it we can do to help solve this? And I think it's a big problem with qualified developers, indie developers out there making really good games out there that don't get recognized. Meanwhile, garbage continues to sell through the roof. What is it we can do besides what we're already doing and trying to put the spotlight on the junk against the good games and the things you should take a second look at? What is it each and every one of us can do to kind of help these really good games come through and be seen more than they are?
I honestly start looking for the people that are reviewing some of the smaller, some of these games, rather than watch what you would normally watch, but then come back and see like our content or the stuff on your channel or some of the other places that are getting some of the smaller games or some of the really new stuff that's really new indie stuff. And if you like what you see and the reviewer seems competent, buy them, support them, get some more, generate some more, because everything on Steam really does wind up kind of based on popularity. And if you've got something marked simulator and 500 and 5,000 people buy it because they don't pay attention and they buy some crap like Restaurant Simulator.
What's the new one that came out a few weeks ago? Did you see that game, the Masturbation Simulator or whatever it was? Did you see that one?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, it was, and it sells through the roof. These developers are putting out, just to be funny or whatever. And the thing that drives me nuts, it's a joke game, and you can tell by the people that actually write the negative reviews, and you can tell by the preview videos that it's a piece of crap. It's a waste of your time and maybe worth a chuckle from a 12-year-old, but that's about it. But you see nothing but 90% positive reviews, and the reviews are, just sarcastic, sexual, innuendo kind of comments or whatever. 10 out of 10. Best beat of my life. 10 out of 10. Whatever. So I think I would encourage everybody to stop. If you're a person that is leaving sarcastic, reviews for some of this trash, thinking you're funny, you might be convincing somebody else to waste their money or waste their time by leaving an inaccurate review. I don't know. It just seems like so many of the reviews that people leave on Steam are either sarcastic or they're just trying to, they're trying to make a joke of it or whatever. And it's not.
Here's an example of what we're talking about. Okay.
Good.
Give me a random noun and whack the word simulator on the end of it. This is the best 15 green light trailers for God Simulator. The video here is a whole 2 minutes. Let's kind of turn that up a little bit here. Okay, already it looks like a half-assed Minecraft clone, and that's actually saying something. But God games were a thing back in the 80s and 90s, Populous and other such things, and they were actually, and a lot of them were actually quite tasty. This, I don't even know what to say. It looks like crap. That blocky thing is totally the Minecraft aesthetic. It looks like what they did was they just kind of made it. They made a bunch of cubes and just kind of whacked them together to make something that looked like it might at some point get a texture, or some actual modeling skill.
But to see the whole map like that's pathetic. I mean, it looks like they're in the actual game engine,
Well, actually, in reality, you are. That's the Unity engine there. Mm-hmm. But the only thing I can really say that's actually worthwhile about this here is that and you get your little boxy sheep. My guess would be that they made the trees and some of it, and like that pile of rocks over there with the sheep are no doubt taken from something like Unit Z. Well, they might have been. They could have been very easily. And this video is already not doing it any favors, but like Populous, you could see the whole map if you came out far enough. Mm-hmm. But there's not even really a sense of, you don't really get a sense of scale this far out. Okay, you can build your little terrain here, and that's great, and you have we give you little gauges to do something, but what have you actually got? What are you working towards? I mean, there's nothing here. The graphics are crap, and the rest of it just looks like it was thrown together in half an hour. And that this UI picture here, oh geez, this just looks fantastic. See here, that's just great. I love that. And if you believe that, I've got a bridge to sell you in San Francisco. Let's see. And this is actually all just screenshots from see, if you look at your actual UI, the windows that the boxes that he built, the bounding boxes for his critters here, they're just they left them in. I mean, you can actually in Unity. This is actually a telltale sign of a Unity game, a bad Unity game usually, or at least one where the developer really just didn't care enough to. These bounding boxes can be made completely clear, and in fact, it looks like he's missing a menu option right over here on the end. Just like he's probably missing a little gauge thingy here, because this is a box that contains the boxes that actually contain the artwork for the gauges. There's all of your options, all of them. Max resolution, sound, graphics, etc. You can even change the FPS, which is actually a plus, not a big one, but a plus. Let's see. And this is more of the same. There's I think that's supposed to be food and happiness, and I don't even know what that's supposed to be. Whether or not people believe in you, maybe, I don't know. But you have the big structure here that is nothing more than just cubes kind of assembled. That tower actually probably took them an hour or two. I mean, I could build that crate in 10 minutes if I tried real hard, and I don't have to. But yeah, this is like this here. I could probably put this together. I could probably put this together by myself, and put this kind of a thing together by myself in a day or two, at the most. And
So what kind of reviews is
I'm
that
not a
game getting?
coder. I don't know what its standing currently is. I can't see that here. Um, let's see. Is that the one I was just looking at? I think so. Okay. And then you can see here where it looks like this map is a little bit different from the other ones. So you already start with a procedurally generated map made out of things that would make Minecraft ashamed of itself. And Minecraft is the thing that is actually known for its big boxy graphics and all that.
Yeah, but that makes
This
Minecraft look good.
makes Minecraft look good, and
That makes Minecraft look like Skyrim.
now I wouldn't go quite that far, but it's a very near thing. I would think Morrowind would be more apt. But yeah, you can't just grab a noun and whack the word simulator on it and make something that looks like it might have something to do with the gameplay. Make some and put together gameplay that makes it look like it might have something to do with B. Because eventually you're just not gonna. It's just not gonna go. It's just not gonna go the way you want it to. Here's one. Here's a comment right up front. Blocky textureless graphics. At least 5 different fonts in the UI. Simulator in the game title. This will never be greenlit. There's probably one of the discussions in here that says, "Hey Sterling, get over here."
So that's still on greenlight. Yep.
God doesn't.
Go ahead and pull up.
This where
Go ahead and pull up a
says,
game for me, Kage.
huh? What?
I was going to tell you to pull up a game for me when you're done there. That's actually hit the market, the Steam. That's actually passed greenlight.
It's going to take me a second to find that. This one here, they just decided they were going to have a little pissing match. Nobody has yet summoned the Sterling, and I'm waiting for them to do that. It's probably just come up onto greenlight in the last few hours. Let's see. It says it's a game. The game doesn't seem to have much going for it, but the trailer. It would be nice if the gameplay wasn't at a 0 to 45-degree angle. That music is recognizable. It doesn't fit the footage very well. You know what? I'll give him that. And actually, if I remember correctly, that is actually a Kevin MacLeod piece from over at Incompetech. Let's see. Oh, what am I doing? Let me just get back here a little bit. Yeah, I know. I'm using the back button like a silly because I am a ridiculous person and I'm just like that. No, we're not going to do that. Blip released. Almost 9,000 games released.
Wow.
Let's see. Borstal? Borstal came in by way of Project Greenlight. I don't have any idea why or how he got that or how he got so many. Escape Close Call. Terror Lab. Here's one that Jim Sterling covered here just recently. You have 3 consoles to run to try and keep the monkey off your back, and he might just jump on it anyway because reasons. Wizardcraft. This one actually doesn't look like it could be all that bad. It's sort of a retro looking or RPG maker looking. No. Don't do that. RPG looking real time strategy game. There's Poop in My Soup. Yeah, this one was bad. And there's a demo for it. You guys can go get it. I actually have a copy of it on my Steam account for reasons I don't get. Somebody actually sent it to me, and I'm going to have to get around to it here. One of these days, I'm going to actually have to do that. But I think that one's actually just a couple of bucks. It's not anything here. Candace DeBebe's Incredibly Trick Lifestyle. If you click on the if you click for the developer's website, it sends you her Twitter account. One way to exit. This one looks like it could actually be entertaining. If you touch the walls, you're done. The next door. I don't know. 24 Hours Till Rescue is they say it's a true roguelike game. That's usually my first tip, my first hint that something is going to go terribly, terribly, terribly wrong. And that was indeed the case with Borstal. Um, Princess.Loot.Pixel. Princess.Loot.Pixel.Again was actually was a refreshing change from that, because you see roguelike, and I'm going, oh no, please no, not that anything but that. It actually turned out to be pretty good. So that's a rare thing. Let's see, Outdrive. This is another one Sterling covered. You have to drive until your girlfriend dies or whatever. If when she dies, the game is over, or when you slow down below a certain point. Idle cars might be okay. Let's see if we can find something really bad, something that looks really bad. I'm sure there is something in here.
Well, if you can, it'll probably be the first one to get greenlit and get on Steam.
Well, I'm looking at stuff that's already on Steam. Buried in interactive story. I'm kind of thinking that would probably be wrong. That's going to go all kinds of wrong. Yeah. Playable interactive story told through stunning photos. Not a bad thought, but probably not a great one either. Slime Rancher. This was actually really, really cute.
Yeah, Slime Rancher wasn't bad.
You know what? I've seen some footage, but you get a lot of the first person horror games on Steam. Let me just kind of click here. You get a lot of the first person horror games on Steam where
jump scares.
Lots of jump scares and shit. Or you get this. I hate this. This flashlight is crap. Okay, somebody is doing the. If you see this on your screen when you're putting your game together, you're doing it wrong. That's not what a flashlight looks like, folks. That's what a spotlight looks like, and even it doesn't. Even it kind of illuminates the area further around. You can actually see it a little better in this shot. See where this is all way darker than this? Okay, this area here should be at least partially illuminated. You would not get a sharp shadow like that. Ever.
Right.
Not out of a flashlight. And if you doubt me, turn all the lights off in your kitchen. Go in there with a proper flashlight. Get your whatever flashlight you happen to have, and kind of swing it around a little bit. The light will drop off as you get further out from the beam. It'll drop off gradually. This is sharp edges and corners. So that's not.
It doesn't look very. It's not very immersive when you have that kind of.
Well, that's actually, as far as I'm concerned, that's immersion destroying. That's exactly, just wrong. Yeah.
And what you really want in a horror game like that is you want the more immersion, the better.
Yep. Yeah, that definitely is. This looks like it's just going to be bad. Let me cut the volume here. And this actually is the thing that made it on. It's already on Steam. Okay, and don't pay attention to Dusky over here. I don't even want to look at him. It just gives you.
I covered that game, Dark Knight.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen it up until now. It's got a bunch of different trailers on it. Okay, hold it. Back up. What is that? What is that? I have no idea what that's supposed to be. Okay. That is really horrid textures. That's thank you, Lana. Okay, but you get games like this that actually get get attention because they're so bad, and people start thinking, and people giving sarcastic, giving kind of sarcastic, positive reviews and that kind of thing, thinking that they're being funny. They're trying for the funny votes. And they're not getting them. They're just getting, oh, well, if he thinks this, then if he's going to upload it, then maybe I should go check. Maybe I should go get it. And then all of this crap just kind of seems to bury the rest of it. There's no real quality control for Greenlight. I mean, if you've got something that is just bad, there's the game you were talking about. What's under your blanket? The masturbation simulator.
That masturbation simulator, by the way, has over. Let me take a look at it. What's under your blanket? I was just there. Let me just give you some. We're talking about a game that's really good for a chuckle or two. There's really no game here. It's just a giggling simulator. Is more what it is. Yeah. And you're talking about a game that sold almost 2,000 or has almost 2,000 reviews.
And most of them positive.
Yep, 1,454 positive reviews versus 200 and something negative reviews. Yeah, it's not a good game.
And then we have My Name Is Mayo, which is just kind of a click the jar thing. This is supposed to be a voxelized old school RPG, and I don't know where people got this idea that voxels were like the be all end all of everything. It seems like it would be just more trouble than it's worth. Golf with friends. That if the physics, this one here could be okay if the physics actually function correctly. But it's not something. Yes, Lotta. FAPSIM 2015. This one here turned up on Steam for free, if I remember correctly. Visit the store page. Yes, I'm old. You can see what my birth date was. Oh no, it was actually money. You know what? I think somebody gave me that one. So I must have given me that one because I know I didn't pay for it. But it is on my list of stuff. Or maybe I did. I don't know. Now I remember. It was on a major sale, and I haven't even broken it out. This one is an alpha, hull breach. Wandering around a wrecked ship, you struggle to stay alive. I think Jim Sterling covered that here just recently. Space Pilgrim, episode 1. This was actually better than you'd think. It's actually a set of 4 really kind of short games, short episodic games, done in RPG Maker, but they're made so that combat isn't the biggest thing here. And in fact, in episode 1, there is no real combat. It's just there. I've played through episodes 1 and 2 thus far, and they're actually not too bad. They're real little touch-in inventory puzzle-solving games, which is another thing that I happen to like, especially if the logic works. Right. Back to Greenlight here. But you can see how you get some of these things that are just absolutely silly. Browse games.
Things with poop, or things to do with poop or masturbating, or that look like they might have nipple pixelization or something like that. Always just sell through the roof, no matter how horrible the game is. It's maddening.
Yeah, and it doesn't really get better in a lot of ways. But for the bargain basement price of $100 donation to somebody's favorite to Steam's favorite charity, which, if I remember correct, is Child's Play or something like that. They have a really nice, they have a really lovely charity they give that money to. The submission money from Greenlight. For that price, you can just kind of look around and you can post anything you freaking well want.
No quality control.
No,
you would think that. Yeah, I was just going to say, you would think that with a zero quality control and the amount of refunds that Steam is having to do on all this crap that passes Greenlight, you would almost think that Steam would be better off by paying for a little bit of quality control and cutting their refunds in half. You know what I mean?
Well, if that happened, then there'd be a lot of games currently on Steam that would never get through.
Right. True. I guess it is good to have choices, and one man's treasure is another man's trash.
Okay, here we go. This is Steam Greenlight trailer for Donald Trump Clicker.
Oh boy!
I was surprised for you. The all new Trump clicker is here for you. And again, already they're violating every rule I have about writing.
They're trying to be funny with that.
Yeah, it would seem like they're trying to be funny. I don't see that. That's just kind of
Really good IGN official.
That's the thing that that's the thing that makes me want to grab my eyes right out of my skull and like dump them on the ground and smash them. Games that are so bad that they'd only be worthwhile or relegated as jokes or punchlines for something like Conker's Bad Fur Day. You know what? I'm actually inclined to agree. Actually, some of them are even worse than that. I can think of some games like this one here we're looking at that even Conker would be ashamed to be seen near.
Well, Kage, you know we're going to see it on Steam here. That'll be up on Steam in a couple of months, and it'll have 5,000 reviews, be selling through the roof.
And there's going to be a lot of sarcasm going on.
90% positive reviews.
And
meanwhile, games like Escape Close Call and Alchemist Awakening and other good games are struggling to, sell a handful of copies. It's sickening. Well,
and here the only gameplay it looks that you get out of the trailer is you click on Donald Trump's face and you win. This isn't even a game, people.
No.
Okay. And I'm gonna bet, I can just bet this is gonna wind up not only as a best of Steam Greenlight trailers game or video here. Jim Sterling bait, yeah, he probably won't touch this. And if I was Jim, I probably wouldn't. For God's sake, stop. How much would you pay for VR porn? By somebody called an annoying cat, which is kind of funny. Jim Sterling bake. Funny jock. This wasn't actually worth the $100 to put it up on Greenlight, except kind of annoy the hell out of everybody and their brother, and probably their dog too.
That's what you call an ultimate troll that pays $100 to put up a troll game on Steam.
Considering that they can do that indefinitely after they paid the $100 the first time, you throw the first 100 or 200 up there, and you well past made your money back just in the butt hurt alone.
So then after they get over that game, they're going to make look what's under Bill Clinton's blanket.
Oh yeah, that's gonna go well. Let's see, Troubleshooter, that ought to be hilarious. I'll have to come back and look at that one here in a little bit.
Lena Nielsen says games that are so bad they'd be only worthwhile or relegated as jokes or punchlines for something like Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Yeah, it would be kind of amusing. Strategy RPG massively multiplayer. Well, massively multiplayer already puts that out. It kind of looks, the concept art looks kind of nice. I'm not seeing a lot in. Oh, that's a loading screen. That doesn't look horrible. Or that. UI looks like somebody actually spent some time on it, although it's in Korean, so I don't know what it says. Yeah, it looks like a standard Korean MMO to me, but
which I can't stand Korean MMOs, to be honest with you.
I have my own issues with them. But on the plus side, they do know how to animate a train.
They know how to make good graphics, yeah, but I can't say a lot for the gameplay compared to what I like in my game style. For one thing I can't stand with most Korean MMOs is I can't stand an MMO where you go and you click where you want to walk. I absolutely hate that. Let me use my WASD. Let me get my third-person perspective that I'm used to. I don't want to be clicking wherever map and going there automatically. That drives me up the wall.
See, now I'm running into a problem with this trailer, and I skipped a little bit of it, just to kind of push it along just a hair, and that this is all pre-rendered cutscene. There's no gameplay here.
Yeah, that's just to sell the game.
If there's not some gameplay footage in this, then it's not something that I would endorse. And it's entirely possible the other one is a gameplay trailer. There's 2 of them here, so, and this is actually the second one. But this all looks like pre-rendered. This is all pre-rendered, and it doesn't look horrible, but it's not going to work. It probably won't work very well as far as that kind of thing goes.
Well, even and if the graphics look anything like that, Kage, it's definitely not going to run on your computer now, too. So.
That's actually the abandoned. That might actually have some game. Oh, this is actually in-game footage. It looks like, or maybe not. Maybe I'm just out of my mind.
Mm-hmm.
They do actually have some gameplay, some images of gameplay. There we go. Now we can actually see what it looks like. Yep. Looks like turn-based strategy here. I'm not sure yet. Or is this a Final Fantasy game? Well, that's what it looks like, certainly. Or at least that's what it says. It's in the genre is this marked strategy, RPG, and massively multiplayer. I can see strategy and RPG. I'm not saying massively multiplayer yet, and I'm not sure if that's just because, to be honest, it looks like just a more standard RPG with a strategy combat system, not unlike the Devil Survivor series that Alice did a while back, and I think they're still working on, or the newer versions of Hyperdimension Neptunia. Actually, this is very much looks like the combat system for Hyperdimension Neptunia or Omega Quintet. You get the 5-man band, and you're running around, and you've got the area where you can actually make attacks in. Areas that you can run, the areas that describe your limits. And I'm only seeing 5 or 6 or 7 characters here. And that car was just marked NYPD for reasons I don't get, unless it's supposed to be happening in New York City or some other similar thing.
It looks like a game that'll probably reach Steam and be past the green light.
You know what? From the trailer here, I'm seeing where it might actually be worth it. I don't know. It really, for me, it would depend on what they're charging for it, whether or not they're planning on actually localizing the UI. At this point, I would have my decision on whether or not it would be workable would be the quality of the translation for the story and the UI.
It could be a free-to-play game. You never know.
And if it is a free-to-play game, that's an automatic no. I won't do it. Because they've got to make their money. They put a lot of work into this, and they got to make that money back somehow.
Oh yeah. Yep. Usually pay to win in some way. The health potions or backpacks or something.
Whatever.
People level up faster.
Yep. And there's a lot of. There's looks like about half the communications on it are in Korean.
It's either going to be free to play or it's around 30.
Sorry, run that by me again.
I say my guess is it's either going to be free to play. That'd be my most probable guess. And if it's not, it looks like about a $30 game.
I don't know.
That'd be my best guess.
I could see $20 on it. I don't know about 30. Guild and trade items for own needs like MMO. multiplayer game as two to three person combat or co-op play, or two to two player versus player, and that's actually from the developer there. So it's not strictly, it won't strictly speaking be an MMO, but it probably won't go horribly. This is a game to kind of like pay attention to here for a little bit. I'll go ahead and upload it just to be a weird ass. I like seeing some of the stranger stuff. Russian developers.
Anyway, Kage, I think we need to wrap this up, man.
Yeah, you're probably right. We're running about 2 hours and 15.
Yeah. I'm kind of breaking up on my internet connection as well, so.
Yeah, so I was kind of wondering about that.
I think we covered a diverse selection of indie games that came out this week, or that we came across this week rather, and you know, definitely leave those comments down below is what I'd say. You know, let us know what you guys want to see on our channel, because we plan on doing this every Friday for the time being anyway, and see kind of how this goes.
And anyway, we both got our own channels. This one is mine. You'll find Zaxters in a link to Zaxters in the low bar there, as well as Patreon accounts and all that other sort of thing. You know, feel free to show us some love if you like what you see. You know, rate, comment, subscribe, please, by all means. We like getting feedback. And you have a nice evening there, Lana.
Thanks for joining, Lana. Thanks for joining, Catherine, if you're still there. And thanks, Kage, for joining me in another stream. And we'll do this next week, and we'll be in communications.
Yep.
Take care, everybody. This has been Zaxtor99.
Okay. And then I think I'll sign out too at this point. We're gonna try and keep this under the amount of time that we spent on this a few days ago. 3 hours and 10 minutes of holy wow. Well, hey, that's even better. Yeah, we're kind of working towards working on some fun stuff here. And when we get there, we get there. The sooner the better, obviously. All right.
See you guys later. Thanks, Kage.
Have fun, man. I'll catch you later.
All right, buddy. See you guys.
But yeah, do actually, if you like some of the stuff you're seeing, go check it out for yourself. At worst, you don't like the game and you have to and you give it back after a little while. But you still show some of these guys some support. I mean, a lot of people really could use it. And with that, I think I'm gonna wander off here myself. But you all have a nice evening, and we'll see you next Friday.